Do you want to start woodworking today but have no idea where to get started because all you see online are makers building things in shops full of tools? A little bit like mine. Today I want to share with you the 5 basic things that you need to start woodworking today. Hey guys, I'm David with Southern Style DIY, and I'm going to show you something I've never shown online before, and that is one of the first projects I built in my shop. It is super basic. It's a single piece of wood and 3 hooks, but it has a ton of mistakes in it. It's not square. It's not sanded to the extent it should be. These hooks are not level with each other, and in fact, they poke out of the back. This would never fly with a project I do today, but I keep it around as an example of how much better I can become over time. And that's why I want to share it with you as you are getting started. Even that project had 4 of the 5 steps that you need for almost any project. So let's start with the first thing you need to be able to do in your shop, and that is measure as accurately as needed for your project. And what I mean by that is you don't need to measure to a 64th of an inch or a decimal of a millimeter for every single project. If I'm building a project like this, it doesn't need to be super exact. If my wife and I says it needs to be 12 inches long, if it's 11.5 inches or 12.5 inches, that's not the end of the world. But if I'm building something to go in between 2 walls and I want it to be perfect, I need to measure much more accurately. So find a way to measure as accurately as possible for your specific needs. Now that you have your dimensions, the second thing you need to be able to do is cut big pieces of wood into smaller pieces of wood. This can be done with manual hand tools, corded hand tools, battery operated hand tools, and floor standing tools as well. You have a ton of different options just depending on how much money you want to invest into the hobby, or if you want to make this a full-time thing as well. Now that you have all of your small pieces together, the third thing you need to be able to do is assemble those small pieces into bigger assemblies. This can be done in 1 or multiple steps depending on the complexity of your project. This can be done using glue only, wood for additional strength and stability, nails, screws, or a combination of any and all of those techniques to assemble small pieces into bigger assemblies. Now that you have your piece assembled, the 4th thing you need to be able to do in your shop is smooth everything out. This includes taking joinery that didn't quite line up and making it flush, as well as smoothing out all the grain around your project. This will give you a high quality feel as well as set you up very well for the next step in the process. The 5th thing you need to be able to do in your shop is make your projects look pretty. This includes painting them, staining them, and or applying a clear coat. The combinations of those are a little bit heated depending on what part of the internet you go to. It's really up to you and what you want out of the project. So don't be afraid to apply that finishing touch and make everything look great. Now that you know the 5 basic steps to woodworking, I want to leave you with 2 pieces of advice. The first is don't overcomplicate your projects. They all come back to those 5 basic steps. In some complex projects, just repeat a couple of those steps. For example, the project I have right off camera is a complex one to me. It's something I've never done before. However, it is a basic repeat of the 5 basic steps we just talked about. In fact, for that project, I measured things to a particular dimension. I broke big things down into small things. I assembled small things into bigger things. I went back, broke big things down into small things, reassembled them, broke them back down, reassembled them, made them all smooth, and then made them look pretty. It all comes back to those same 5 steps, just repeated a couple of times. Don't overcomplicate your projects. The second piece of advice I want to give you is don't get hung up on what tools other people have that you don't. We all started from scratch. As I said, I made this without having any of the tools that you see behind you. You can get started today without any of the tools I've got behind me. The biggest thing is, if you want to get started, figure out how to accomplish those 5 steps and start today. If you want to hear more about all 5 of the things you need to be able to do in your shop, click the subscribe button below. I'm going to be doing a series on each of those in detail, as well as the advice we just talked about. Once they're available, I will have it linked right here as well so that you can jump straight into the next video, and I'll see you in that video.